Hey everyone, welcome back to Cyber Defenders. In the last session we covered malware and ransomware, the weapons hackers deploy once they are inside a system. Today we zoom out and look at the infrastructure level. How do hackers attack the very networks that connect every device on the planet? Session 6 is a network attacks deep dive. We are talking DDoS attacks that took down half the internet in a single afternoon, port scanning, packet sniffing on public Wi-Fi, DNS poisoning, and ARP spoofing. These are the attacks that target routers, switches, protocols, and traffic flows. By the end of this session, you will understand exactly how networks are attacked and what defenders do to stop them. Here is our agenda for today. We start with understanding what a network attack actually is and which layers of the network stack attackers target. Then we go deep on DDoS attacks, the nuclear weapon of network attacks. After that we cover port scanning and reconnaissance, how attackers map a target before striking. Then packet sniffing and Wi-Fi attacks. Then to invisible protocol level attacks, DNS poisoning, and ARP spoofing. And we finish with 3 jaw-dropping real-world network attacks that changed history, followed by your defense toolkit and quiz. Let us go. So what is a network attack? A network attack targets the communication infrastructure between devices, the routers, switches, protocols, and traffic flows, rather than attacking a specific application or person. Networks are built in layers, and different attacks target different layers. At the top, the application layer, layer 7, is where attacks like XSS, SQL injection, and DNS poisoning operate. At layer 4, the transport layer, we see SYN floods and port scanning. At layer 3, the network layer, we see IP spoofing and DDoS routing attacks. At layer 2, the data link layer, we see ARP spoofing. And at the physical layer, we see rogue Wi-Fi access points and cable interception. Understanding which layer is being attacked tells a defender which tools and techniques to use in response. The key insight is this: attackers choose which layer to target based on what they want to achieve. Do they want to disrupt, intercept, or redirect? Each goal uses a different layer. DDoS, distributed denial of service. This is the nuclear weapon of network attacks. The goal is brutally simple: flood a server, website, or network with so much fake traffic that it becomes completely overwhelmed and crashes, denying access to every legitimate user. Here is how it works. An attacker first infects thousands of devices with malware, creating a botnet, an army of zombie computers. When the attack is launched, all of those infected devices simultaneously flood the target server with requests. Imagine 500,000 computers, all trying to open your website at exactly the same moment. The server simply cannot cope and collapses. There are 3 main types of DDoS attack. Volume attacks overwhelm the bandwidth with sheer scale, like 1,000 cars jamming a 2-lane road. Protocol attacks exploit weaknesses in the TCP protocol itself. A SYN flood sends millions of connection requests that are never completed, consuming all available server resources. And application layer attacks send fake but realistic-looking HTTP requests to crash the web server. These are the hardest to detect because the traffic looks legitimate. In 2016, the Miri botnet launched a 1.2 terabit per second attack against DIN, a major DNS provider. Twitter, Netflix, Reddit, Spotify, CNN, and PayPal all went down simultaneously across the US and Europe. In 2018, Deauth was hit with 1.35 terabits per second, the largest DDoS ever recorded at that time. And in 2020, Amazon AWS absorbed a 2.3 terabit attack. Before a hacker launches any attack, they spend time mapping the target. This phase is called reconnaissance, and the primary tool is port scanning. Think of it like a burglar walking around a building, trying every window and door handle before deciding how to get in. So what is a port? A port is a virtual numbered door on your device. Different services listen on different port numbers. Port 80 is HTTP, unencrypted web traffic. Port 443 is HTTPS, secure web traffic. Port 22 is SSH, remote server access. Port 21 is FTP, file transfers. Port 3389 is RDP, remote desktop on Windows. And port 25 is SMTP, a mail sending. Each open port is a potential entry point for an attacker. A hacker uses a tool called map to scan a target and find out which ports are open and what services are running on them. Once they know which ports are open and which software versions are running, they look for known vulnerabilities in those specific versions. The entire reconnaissance process follows 4 steps. First, passive reconnaissance, gathering public information without touching the target, using tools like Google, LinkedIn, and Shodan.io. Second, active reconnaissance, port scanning to map open doors. Third, vulnerability scanning, identifying unpatched software. And fourth, attack planning, choosing the right exploit. The defense: use a firewall to close all unused ports, monitor for unusual scanning activity, and keep all software patched and up to date. Now let us talk about what actually travels across those networks and what happens when an attacker gets access to it. All network traffic is broken into small units, called packets, on an unencrypted HTTP connection. These packets contain completely readable data. Using a free tool called Wireshark, anyone on the same network as you can capture these packets and read your usernames, passwords, and messages in plain text. It looks exactly like this: get/login, username, Alice password, secret 123, all visible in clear text. On HTTPS, the same packet would contain nothing but scrambled, unreadable gibberish because it is encrypted. This is exactly why the S in HTTPS is so important. Now for Wi-Fi attacks, the most dangerous is the evil twin or rogue access point attack. An attacker sets up a fake Wi-Fi hotspot with exactly the same name as a real, legitimate network. For example, Kafkist. Your device sees 2 networks with identical names and auto-connects to whichever has the stronger signal, which is often the attacker's. All your traffic now flows through their device. The Deauth authentication attack takes this even further. The attacker sends forged disconnect packets to everyone on the legitimate network, kicking them all off, forcing their devices to automatically reconnect, this time to the attacker's fake hotspot. And WPA2 password cracking captures the Wi-Fi handshake when a device connects and then brute forces the password offline. Weak passwords can be cracked in minutes. Defenses: always use HTTPS, use a VPN on any public network, and always verify Wi-Fi network names before connecting. Now for 2 of the most invisible network attacks: DNS poisoning and ARP spoofing. Both redirect your traffic before it even reaches your browser, and both can be completely undetectable without the right tools. DNS cache poisoning works by injecting fake records into a DNS server's cache. You already know from session 2 that DNS is the internet's phone book. It translates domain names into IP addresses. In a DNS poisoning attack, the attacker corrupts the DNS cache so that when you type yourbank.com, the DNS server returns the IP address of the attacker's fake website instead. You land on a perfect-looking, fake bank login page. You enter your credentials, and they are stolen. You had no idea you were on a fake site. The defense is to use DNSSEC, which adds cryptographic signatures to DNS records. Use trusted encrypted DNS resolvers like Cloudflare's 1.1.1.1, and always check the HTTPS padlock and certificate on sensitive sites. ARP spoofing operates at an even lower level, layer 2, the data link layer. ARP, the address resolution protocol, maps IP addresses to physical MAC addresses on a local network. An ARP spoofing attack sends fake ARP replies claiming that the attacker's device has the router's IP address. Every device on the network then sends all traffic to the attacker instead of the router. This creates a perfect man-in-the-middle position. The attacker sees everything flowing in and out of the network. The defense is dynamic ARP inspection on managed switches, static ARP entries for critical devices, and always using encrypted connections. 3 network attacks that genuinely changed history. First, the Miri botnet DDoS in 2016. A piece of malware called Miri scanned the internet for IoT devices, routers, baby monitors, CCTV cameras, smart TVs that were using default factory passwords. It infected 600,000 of them and turned them into a botnet. In October 2016, that botnet launched a 1.2 terabit per second DDoS attack against DIN, the company that manages DNS for much of the internet. The result? Twitter, Netflix, Reddit, Spotify, CNN, PayPal, and dozens of other major websites went down simultaneously for hours across the United States and Europe. Half the internet went dark because of baby monitors and webcams with default passwords. The lesson: every connected device is a potential weapon. Secure your smart home devices and change default passwords immediately. Second, Stuxnet in 2010. Created jointly by the United States and Israel, Stuxnet spread through local networks and USB drives specifically targeting Siemens industrial control systems in Iran. Once inside the nuclear facility's network, it silently manipulated the speed of uranium enrichment centrifuges, while reporting completely normal operation to the monitoring systems. Over months, it physically destroyed over 1,000 centrifuges from the inside. The lesson: network attacks can cross from the digital world into the physical world and cause real, tangible destruction. Third, the SolarWinds supply chain attack in 2020. Hackers compromised SolarWinds' own software build system and inserted malicious code into a legitimate software update called Orion. When 18,000 organizations, including the US Departments of Treasury, Homeland Security, and State, plus Microsoft, Intel, and Cisco installed the update, the attackers gained full, silent network access. The breach went undetected for 9 months. The lesson: even software updates from trusted vendors can be weaponized. Verify everything. Trust nothing blindly. Quiz time. 4 questions. Let us go. Question 1. What does DDoS stand for? A. Data denial of service. B. Distributed denial of service. C. Digital disruption of systems. D. Direct denial of service. The correct answer is B. Distributed denial of service. Distributed because it uses thousands of infected devices spread across the world simultaneously. Question 2. What does port scanning help an attacker discover? A. Your passwords. B. Your browsing history. C. Open ports and running services. D. Your Wi-Fi password. The correct answer is C. Open ports and running services. Port scanning maps which virtual doors are open on a device and what is listening behind each one. Question 3. What can a packet sniffer capture on an HTTP connection? A. Nothing because packets are encrypted. B. Only images. C. Passwords and data in plain text. D. Only file names. The correct answer is C. Passwords and data in plain text. On HTTP, all data is transmitted unencrypted. HTTPS fixes this by encrypting everything. Question 4. ARP spoofing redirects traffic at which network layer? A. Application layer. B. Network layer. C. Data link layer. D. Transport layer. The correct answer is C. Data link layer. ARP operates at layer 2, mapping IP addresses to physical MAC addresses on the local network. 5 big takeaways from session 6. Number 1. DDoS attacks flood servers with fake traffic using botnets of thousands of infected devices. They have taken down Twitter, Netflix, YouTube, and Amazon. Even the largest companies in the world can be overwhelmed. Number 2. Port scanning is how attackers map your network before striking. Every open port is a potential entry point. Close what you do not need, use a firewall, and keep all software patched. Number 3. Packet sniffing captures network data in plain text on HTTP connections. Always use HTTPS. Always use a VPN on public Wi-Fi. Never log into sensitive accounts on unsecured networks. Number 4. DNS poisoning and ARP spoofing redirect your traffic invisibly at the network level. Use TNSEC, trusted encrypted DNS, and always verify HTTPS certificates on sensitive sites. Number 5. Network attacks can take down half the internet, destroy physical machinery, and silently compromise 18,000 organizations through a single software update. Understanding these attacks is how defenders protect the infrastructure the entire world depends on. For homework, visit shodan.io and search your home IP address or a public company you know. You will be amazed at what open ports and connected devices are publicly visible on the internet. It will completely change how you think about network security. See you in session 7, where we learn how to build defenses firewalls, intrusion detection systems, and the zero trust model. Stay sharp, cyber defenders.